Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back down under the mat. We are here in Madison Square Garage around the pool table of relevancy. This is Mr. Dan Danielson. I'm Rowdy Roddy Reece. We're here to do our review of AEW Dynasty.
Dynasty.
Because that was a nasty pay-per-view.
Maybe we're overselling that a smidge.
It definitely wasn't the swerve we were expecting.
Oh, you stole my line.
I did steal your line.
I love that one. That was a good one.
All credit to Dan for that one. This was a long pay-per-view, as AEW ones are. They're usually around about 4 hours, and sometimes it does feel like a bit of a slog to get through, but we had some fairly good matches on the card, and then we had some matches that we weren't so impressed with, which is, surprise, surprise, it's AEW.
Yep. And I think as well, from our perspective, having to watch this on a Monday and record it made it feel longer because I was doing a fair amount of work whilst watching this.
Yeah.
And looking back throughout the course of the pay-per-view, how many things that I got completed whilst watching this seems like a lot.
Yeah.
And it sort of goes to show how long of a show it was the entire time that happened. So,
yeah. We're not going to cover off all we can very, 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 very quickly the 0 hour.
We didn't even watch it, man.
We didn't watch it. One gripe that we do have.
Yes, please do.
So, Max Caster, the world's
Best wrestler in the world.
Best wrestler in the world. I thought he was the world's most professional wrestler.
Best wrestler alive.
Best wrestler alive. Who's the world's most professional wrestler? That's Brian Myers from TNA. My bad. Anyway, open challenge on the 0 hour, answered by none other than his former tag team partner, Anthony Bowens. And this whole storyline of
The Acclaimed.
the Acclaimed. Fuck, I was going to call him Private Party.
Where have they gone to, by the way?
They lost the titles to the Hurt Syndicate and then they're gone. Private Party, the whole story, culminating on a pre-show match that was completed in 40 seconds.
I think the joke of Max Caster for the last couple of weeks and him being the best wrestler alive with his open challenges and always getting beaten by bigger, better wrestlers every time, like Takeshita and stuff would destroy him and things, which was, funny. But to me, to have the return of Bowens and Daddy Ass on the pay-per-view pre-show and done within a minute is not...
That's not it.
It's not the finish to the Acclaimed that you should have had.
No.
For those that like the Acclaimed or not. That's not how you finish that. Yeah. So look, that was a bit rough. But the pay-per-view kicked off with
an amazing match. Well,
you know what? I will still say this is the best match of the night.
Yeah.
Only because the other best match of the night I think was maybe 10 minutes too long.
Yes, correct. So we kicked it off with Will Ospreay versus Kevin Knight, which pretty sure for both of us this is our first time actually watching a Kevin Knight match, and he's got our vote.
Yeah, he was in the tag match that they had on Dynamite
this week with Will Ospreay.
He's obviously a New Japan guy,
yeah,
predominantly. I think that, like, the way I tried to explain him from what I understand to you, Reece, was that when Kenny Omega left New Japan in the first place, Will Ospreay was the one to then take his spot. It's pretty much sort of now that when Will Ospreay has now left New Japan, it's Kevin Knight that's now taking his spot. Zack Sabre Jr. and a lot of the, obviously, the Japanese guys and stuff, not withhold, they're still in the scene and everything, but as that high power, high excitement, massive move machine that Kenny and Will were, that's what Kevin is.
And you really saw that shine through in the match with these two.
For sure.
It was a pretty standard Ospreay match, which, after seeing so much of Will Ospreay over the last year or so for myself, this just felt like an everyday Will Ospreay match. But there were a few little things here and there that Kevin Knight put his own little tweak on. One thing that popped both of us was at one point, and I remember this from the Ospreay Pac match last year, was the Hurricane Rana turned into like a sunset powerbomb. And it's just the amount of strength and agility and speed for these guys to get into that position and then rotate an extra 90 degrees to hit that move is fucking ridiculous.
Because they did it off a Styles Clash where he couldn't quite get it. So then he pulls him up for the powerbomb.
And then
the
rotate.
flip.
It's absolute madness, man. Absolute madness.
There was a couple of times where I think Kevin went to go to the outside on Ospreay and then he couldn't. And then there was one where he sort of went off the apron over the turnbuckle straight onto Ospreay on the other side, like all the way across. That was sick. Obviously, all of the Ospreay float over moves, the speed that they have in the ring, these two guys, was just phenomenal. Like, this is always, like you said, it's a very paint by numbers Ospreay type match.
Yeah,
but these
absolutely.
matches work really well when someone can keep up with Will Ospreay, and Kevin could. For sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Ospreay would go on to win that match against Kevin Knight. He is now
horror.
Yeah.
No way. No way would we have predicted that Ospreay would win a quarterfinal match for a tournament that he's already said he's going to win.
Yeah, absolutely. So good way to kick off AEW Dynasty. It kind of went down a little notch with this next match. We had the Hurt Syndicate defending their AEW tag team.
We hurt people. We hurt people. As much as we wanted, like, the Hurt Syndicate to be a thing, even when they were in WWE, we wanted them to come back and they never did. But then we were like, please just put them together in AEW. They're going to be so good. And as good as Shelton Benjamin has been, and as good as Lashley has been throughout his whole career, apart from the crowd chants, does anyone give a shit about the Hurt Syndicate anymore? Like, honestly,
I mean, I've always liked Bobby Lashley, so I'm always going to support.
I've always liked
Big
Bobby.
Bob.
Like, I met Big Bob. He was ginormous. He blocked the entire light of a casino out. I couldn't see anything. It went dark when he walked past me. But Shelton, when he first came in, and he had like that banging with Fletcher.
Yeah.
And he had a couple of really sick matches. Everyone was like, oh, they're going to be so good. They're in cruise control, man. They're sitting in like
absolutely
third gear. They're not even shifting up.
And that's one thing I noticed about this match with Big Bill and the Bad Apple Brian Keith was like it just seemed like they were kind of like on autopilot.
Yeah.
And this kind of everyone's going to get mad at me. This kind of felt like a WWE tag team match from like 5 years ago.
Yeah, it did though.
Because like the pacing of it and the way that Brian Keith started the match, immediately tagged in Big Bill. You had that powerhouse face-off between Big Bill and Lashley.
Yep.
And just like the pacing after that where they had Big Bill down, he made the tag to Keith, and then they had Brian Keith down, and then you got the hot tag for Bill again, but like it was the Hurt Syndicate all the way through. And then at one point to help solidify that victory, Big Bill and Lashley are on the outside and they're fighting. And they're holding right on that little like corner where the stairs are, where all the superstars come in. Big Bill's there. And then someone pops up and just socks Big Bill across the face. MJF has helped the Hurt Syndicate retain their AEW Tag Team Championships.
I don't even know if I care about the story.
You know, this is the thing, because you were like, why the hell does MJF not have a match on this card? And I was like, here's your MJF moment. But I don't see where this story goes. Like, I like to cook up stories, and I think, oh, what if this happens? What if that happens? I genuinely can't figure out what could potentially happen. Does he join Hurt Syndicate? Is he just the sack of flour in...
What picture are you trying to paint here, Reece?
He's the odd one out, right?
He is the odd
one
one
out.
out. Okay, you're going to be really politically correct with saying that.
Yes, he's the odd one out.
I don't know. Like when you had the MJF stuff a couple of months ago and he was feuding with Jarrett, no one really wanted to see him fight Jeff Jarrett.
So they cut that off.
They cut it off.
Immediately.
No, thank you. No, thank you. And then he had the feud with Hangman, which was great. But we both said that those promos and what those two were doing should be about your world title.
Yep.
And now it seems like neither of them are in the world title scene. And MJF is just hanging around with, like, it seems like they've gone, okay, still the Death Riders. We're going to have the Owen coming up, which leads to the match at All In, which is probably going to be Ospreay because it's in...
MJF isn't even in the Owen.
MJF's not even in the Owen. He's not going for the world title, which goes against everything that he has said in all of his promos so far. So maybe we've got to keep him away from that scene because it wouldn't make sense to have him around it if he's not going to go in it to win it. So then where do we put him? And they're like...
Hurt Syndicate?
Hurt Syndicate? I mean, you can hang out with them, right? Maybe he then turns on Shelton and Bobby or brings in a tag partner and you get him and Adam Cole again.
But, like, that was the whole thing. Like, that's the whole thing that he's doing at the moment. Like, his story with the Hurt Syndicate is about working with people again and trusting people again. Why would he then turn on them and bring someone else in that we've
But
had,
then why
that
would-
we've seen no like on-screen interaction with so far.
But also, then why would you let him try and get people to trust and to work with people for them to just turn on him like Adam Cole did and make MJF look like an idiot for the second time going to people?
What are you doing?
I don't know, man. I think I'm a little bored of what the Hurt Syndicate are doing. I'm a little unimpressed with the tag scene because I think that you've got the Hurt Syndicate. They're not really faces, right? They are.
No.
They are in this match. They're kind of the faces, but they're not really being portrayed
Like both
as
teams were
baby
getting
faces.
pops from the crowd,
Yeah.
which is just.
Well, you
weird.
watch the rest of Dynasty and you think of what else is happening in AEW right now. A lot of the tag teams are heels.
Yeah.
So you kind of have to say that the Hurt Syndicate are going to be the baby faces going against these heel teams. But I don't really see people popping and cheering for an MVP-led Lashley and Shelton.
No. They don't come, like, people can like them, but they don't come across as faces. If you're going to try and portray them as faces, have
And
them
no
be
way.
tweeners.
And
of
no
some
way
sort.
sympathetic baby faces, because you put Lashley and Shelton against anyone, I'm not expecting them to be like under the whole match.
Yeah.
I'm expecting them to be winning most of the time.
Yeah, absolutely. Speaking of things that we weren't thoroughly entertained with, Dan's face says it all.
I forgot.
We have come to the second of the Owen Hart tournament-related matches tonight. This one being the women's side, with Mercedes and Julia Hart facing off. And I think for the first 5 minutes or so, I was pretty invested in this match, and I was like, hey, this is actually pretty good for a Mercedes match. And then she went for that little like jump on the turnbuckles and then jump over and do the arm drag. And she missed the rope entirely. And then she just like spun around and still gave her the arm drag. And that took me out of it immediately. And from there, like it was just waiting for Mercedes to get the win, essentially. And I'll give them, the ending was up until the roll-up win, the ending and the trading of different sorts of submissions. Because we had the tarantula and that went into a bank statement and flip-flopping between submissions with each other. So I really enjoyed that aspect. But then, yeah, it's just the
To the
roll-up.
Monet maker. My problem with this, and it was with a couple of the matches on this card, especially the quarterfinal matches for the Owen Hart Cup, was at 0 point of this match did I ever think Julia was winning, so I just did not care.
Yeah, and that's
As much as I enjoyed the Ospreay and Kevin Knight match, which I think was probably in ring my favorite match of the night, there was zero chance in my mind that Ospreay was losing that match. So I was taken out. I was not as invested as I should have been because I did not have any doubts of the finish of the match.
Yeah.
And it's the same with the Hurt Syndicate. There was zero chance that Big Bill and Brian Keith were winning that match. Later on in the night, there was a couple more that I was like, there is zero chance there was a title change or anything happening. So I'm not invested.
Yeah, like going back, I reckon we could have like maybe apart from the main event, 99% predicted this whole card.
Yeah, there was probably one. There was the TNT match that was a coin flip.
Yeah, yeah.
That and the main event, which we probably got wrong because anyway, we'll get there.
We'll get there. We'll move on to the AEW Trios Championships now. Rated FTR versus the Death Riders. Now, one thing FTR is good at is telling a story. And throughout this whole match, for both teams, and I'll give both teams the credit because usually in matches like this where there's huge spots, finishes a hit, and it looks like that's going to be it, and it's a kick out. No, we didn't have kick outs of massive moves. We had the other team interrupting the pinfall count, and I think we both really enjoyed that happening during this match because there were a few different spots where we were just like, holy shit, he better not fucking get out of this. And then, thank God, someone interrupted.
Because there was a pile driver, and then there was two splashes, and then a 1-2, and then Claudio broke the pin. Because I was like, I swear to God, if he kicks out, I don't know, maybe that was from the Death Riders. That was with it was the Death Riders because Pac hit the tombstone on Dax.
Yeah.
That really annoyed the crap out of me if that had have just been kickouts. But there was good storytelling in the way they broke the pins. It was good storytelling as well in the way that all three men were busy. Like all six men, sorry, were busy at all points of time.
Oh,
like
absolutely.
everything just kept happening. There was always someone moving around with things. We were always breaking the pins. That was really well done.
Yep.
I mean, a couple of gripes that I had with this was on commentary. I think Nigel at one point when they were talking about Wheeler Yuta someone was saying how well he's been trained by John Moxley. And I think Nigel's specific words were, well, one man's terrorist is another man's freedom fighter. I don't know if you could say that, Nigel,
that's,
especially about Wheeler Yuta and the way he looks on television. But hey, look, go for gold, champ, if that's what you want to do. That sort of really jarred me, that line. And just in general, the way that I think it was way too telegraphed, this FTR turn.
Yeah, they've been teasing it for weeks. It's been on every show. There's been that tension and they've like figured it out. And it's like whenever they do that, AEW, WWE, TNA, NXT, wherever you tease that consistent tension and try and palm it off like, everything's fine, let's get into it.
It's going to happen.
It always happens. We've been waiting for so long for it to happen with Fraxium. It's got to come to a head soon.
Oh, Judgment Day, we hated it that it took so long for those.
Yeah,
guys to
exactly.
break up.
Like, just like pull the trigger. I think this one, it was a little too obvious and it kind of took us out of it because as soon as Rated FTR lost that match, we were just waiting for something to happen.
Well, because we knew like the finish was obviously where Dax was in the corner and Edge stopped just in time. I didn't hit him and then was pushed into him anyway.
By Yuta.
By Wheeler, and then the stupid Psycho knee that he stolen from Danielson.
And then that was what got the pinfall, which...
And you hated the fact
really
that Yuta got the 3.
He's such a creator wrestler looking dude. There's nothing unique about him.
Is he your freedom fighter or are you a terrorist?
I'm not commenting on that because that was bullshit.
And then obviously the turn at the end where Dax gets the shits and he pile drives Edge, goes to get the chairs for the concerto.
Surprise, a concerto.
No way. Every time Edge.
How
every time
original. How original.
It's always a concerto. And then, Cash was like, nah, not for me. No, I'm not doing this. What are you doing, man? This isn't what we're doing. And then he flattens Edge out. And they're like, all right, let's do it then.
Yeah.
And then they both
hit the Shatter Machine and then,
which we did call.
Repeated concertos.
Yeah.
And then one thing I thought was really funny about Dax.
Yeah.
The one with hair.
That's
I
Cash.
always fucking getting confused, hey. One with hair.
And the card's right there.
Is it? Yeah, so Cash.
Just wanted to confirm. Thanks.
Yeah, just wanted to confirm. So Cash, as the EMTs are coming out, grabs the neck brace, puts it on, and then puts himself on the stretcher. I thought that was hilarious.
And then Dax came out and gave him the CPR.
I missed that part.
To make sure he was okay.
Even better. So FTR are heels now. So
they've turned full heel on Edge, which is fine. Edge would be out for a little while after copying the concertos, which is fine. He's this far into his career. He should be wrestling every week anyway.
Yeah.
My only gripe to this was the same spot that Judgment Day and Penta had like 2 weeks ago. Where it's like, we're going to turn on him here, you take the chair and hit him. And then he's like, no, I can't do it. But then he does actually do it. I know wrestling is a small little dome of things where stories often overlap and things, but it was just like, as soon as they were there and he was offering him the chair to do it, I was like, Dom did this to Penta 2 weeks ago. It's okay. It is what it is.
Yes.
Fair enough. Whatever. I can't believe the Death Riders still have all these titles, and I hope the Ops or someone takes them. Because I'm so bored of this Trios division that it's just going nowhere.
It's 11-0 for the Death Riders as a trios.
Is it?
Yeah.
They've had 11 matches?
I don't know if that record was as the champions, but I think as the trios, they're 11-0.
Okay. Don't care.
Moving on to our second women's match of the evening. Megan Bain versus Toni Storm.
Megan Bain?
Megan.
It's Megan. But Megan?
Megan.
Is that like Dynasty and Dynasty? Do you like, depending where you're from, it's different things?
Interchangeable. Doesn't matter.
All right, sure.
Don't overthink it too much.
I'll overthink about how big Megan Bain is, though.
In several aspects, yes. Toni Storm got
you're talking about Megan. Oh, I was talking about Penelope Ford's when we were talking about that off screen. I was like, they've got bigger.
Yes, Penelope Ford did accompany Megan Bain to the ringside area, and not surprising, Toni Storm gets the massive Rocky entrance. She had the Rocky themed attire on. They had
a boxing gear,
a classic vignette play before the entrance as well. I actually really like the boxing gear look on Toni, like the little waistband with the timeless.
Is she now moving forward? Is she going from like the 40s and 50s where she was full timeless?
Now she's
like 70s.
Oh yeah. Didn't we predict this months and months ago that she progressed through Hollywood era?
Yes.
Fuck, we're smart.
So let's hope that she now goes into like some 70s stuff, gets a bit of color and different things about her.
And then she like slowly gets to the 80s where she can go back to being like
Rockstar
Tony
punk
Storm.
Tony Storm.
Sign me up. Good match. Classic underdog story. Because Big and Bane's so big, so huge. Luther at one point ended up taking Penelope Ford out.
Yep.
As she was trying to interfere in the match, so that removed that. I got really, really frustrated at one of these points where it looked cool.
Mm-hmm.
Tony Storm hit the hip attack in the corner like she usually does.
Oh, yeah.
And Megan Bane just grabbed the ropes and slinged up. Tony hit her with a headbutt, gave her 2 more hip attacks, hit the Storm 0, and then got a 1 count.
3.
It was a fucking 1 count. Why do they keep having stupid shit like this happen? Ridiculous.
So you're telling me that she hit her signature move 3 times in a row,
Yes, correct.
along with a headbutt,
Yes,
along with her finishing move,
correct.
to get a 1 count,
Ridiculous.
but then wins the match in a roll-up.
With a fucking package. The biggest package you'll ever see, darlings. I really hate that they're making that her character right now. It's just... And like, as soon as it happened, I was like, oh, of course that's how it ends, because that's all she's talking about. I mean, the biggest package you've ever seen. And it's just... Oh,
But then
why
waste
I'm not interested
multiple
in it.
finishes during the match?
Just don't do them then. Don't do them. Don't do them and then have someone kick out at 1. Diminish your champion. It's just dumb. Stupid.
You know what else diminishes your champion? Putting them into a tournament where they're eventually going to lose at some point before getting to the other title. But that's about Mercedes, not Tony. So
Yeah, but still.
again, another stupid
Will
decision.
she lose? That's the thing. Mercedes Hogan, she's running wild, brother.
But based off this is to get to Tony, right? So Double or Nothing's next.
Yeah, I think so.
So I assume Tony, if she has a match,
mate.
will be against someone on that card.
Yeah.
And then All In is the winner of the tournament, the Owen Hart against Tony, right?
Okay.
You've got Mercedes and Athena
Correct.
on one side, right? And you've
I
been
thought they
telling
were on opposite sides.
nope, they are not. So the opposite side is
Other silly booking
is
decisions.
the
Don't even care.
Chris Statlander and Jamie Hayter side.
Okay.
So what you're going to tell me is that Mercedes is through and assumedly Athena gets through. So you're either going to have your TBS champion or your Ring of Honor Women's champion.
Copper pinfall.
Copper pinfall loss in a tournament that they're going for.
Another championship.
How does that make
Where's
sense?
the logic, bro? Like, I know Mercedes is going for all the belts right now, but
How does that make
care.
sense?
I don't care.
And then assumedly Mercedes, because Mercedes has not lost.
No.
She's not lost in AEW.
Still undefeated in AEW.
Does she lose to Athena? And you tell that story that she loses in there? Or does she make it to the final and lose to Tony? Or does she win the title and have Mercedes 47 belts? And
I said it earlier today. I'm going to fucking stick by it. If Mercedes wins more belts, I'm done with AEW. I will read
Heard
up
it
on
here
results.
first.
I'm not fucking watching it anymore.
okay.
That is ridiculous. And
Match of the night candidate was the next one. Kyle Fletcher with Don Callis against Mark Briscoe.
move on.
I'm moving on.
I'm going to save that for our weekly WWE review that we're about to do about another of the 4 horsewomen because they're both terrible in my eyes, and we'll leave it
right out of this one.
Fuck.
I said Charlotte. I'm sorry. I apologize.
Yeah.
Kyle Fletcher in another quarterfinal match.
Yes. Correct.
Again, I wouldn't really care too much about this, knowing the assumption being that Kyle was going to win this.
Yeah.
Although Kyle and Mark is a fun match, they're both crazy, so I think that adds to the match.
What was the timing on that match?
They got 16 minutes.
It's definitely at least 6 minutes too long.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Kyle should have had that done and dusted within 10.
And that's the thing, right? When you put these brackets of what the Owen Hart is, the first thing you do as anyone, you look at the 8 people and you go, all right, so he's winning that gets to the final, they face each other, it makes sense. Knowing that, it was Brody King and Takeshita were watching this.
Yes.
You've obviously seen the history amongst all of those guys with Ospreay and such. The history with Fletcher with Ospreay. It's not the history with Mark Briscoe and Brody King and Mark Briscoe and Will Ospreay.
Briscoe's got nothing to do with
Fletcher,
it. And there was a point in the match, like Kyle started off really hot. As Briscoe was still coming down, he swan dove over the top rope and started taking him out. There was a point where Kyle delivered 2 power bombs onto the apron, the hardest part of the ring.
It is the hardest part of the ring, yeah.
And then another power bomb onto the barricade.
Yep.
And the match should have been done within 60 seconds at that point. But no, he carried on for another 6 to 8 minutes after that. Why?
It's where the best wrestle.
Kyle wins with the top rope brainbuster, which we do love that move. He did hit it, but not from the top rope earlier in the match and didn't get the pinfall. But
his sheer drop brainbuster is the best looking one.
Crazy.
It's so good.
I didn't take notes for this next match.
Because also from that match too, remember, Briscoe hit a bunch of stuff, then he hit a froggy bow and Kyle kicked out.
Yeah.
And then he hit a froggy bow from the inside
outside.
to the outside, rolled him in and still kicked out. Like, again, what are we doing with finishing moves?
What are we?
What are we doing?
Do they even exist in AEW? No. Moving on to probably the worst match of the night. The worst match of the night.
The match was pretty average, but the finish is the worst.
That's what made it the worst match of the night.
God, this was horrible.
Chris Jericho versus Bandido. Ring of Honor World Title versus Mask.
So my look, I have gripes, and my first gripe to this, and for those of you that are AEW and Ring of Honor fans, which we know we've got a few of them in our Discord, please comment below and correct me here. Why does Ring of Honor have a 20-second count out rule? Like, that's silly because they were just rolling around the outside way too long because that made no sense.
Yeah.
But why? And I get it's because it's Jericho, right? It's the Nuave. I understand that. But this would be like putting the NXT title on SummerSlam. Why was it the 4th top match on a pay-per-view card for AEW? Should this not be headlining, the Supercard of Honor for Ring of Honor? Should it not be on Ring of Honor on the television? It's the Ring of Honor title. The story has been told purely on Ring of Honor.
Yeah.
Other than shitty promos with Jericho. Why was that on this card? Second point. I don't want to crap on the work rate of each because, look, Jericho is still in his 50s and he can still do a decent match. All credit to him. But when he started the match by hitting a code breaker and a lion sold, I was like, can this be done real fast? Because I'd love to see that. No, it cannot. It will go for nearly 20 minutes. Bunch of shenanigans happens. The bad apple and that come out. And then that means that his brother, what's his name? Not Hologram. Gravity comes out.
Yeah.
He takes them away. And then that means Jericho goes and gets his baseball bat, which is for some reason turned into his weapon of choice lately. Good for him.
It's been like that for a few years.
Cracks Bandido across the head. Not even. Hits him on the shoulder, if you're lucky.
But then...
1, 2, 3, Jericho wins.
No,
right?
it was the slow 15-second crawl
that's
to
true.
get to the pinfall and then have it be 1, 2, 3.
And it was a slow 1, 2, 3 because the ref was obviously already down from the interference.
So bad.
So he was
so bad.
One bat shot and he was out for 4.5 minutes. Then Jericho's like, come on, mask off. It's time to go, mask off.
His family's carrying on by ringside.
And my favourite, if you watch this podcast, you know my favourite AEW person is Aubrey Edwards and her horrible refereeing. Walks over to Bandido's sister and mum in the crowd.
Yeah.
Because reputable sources to obviously, have an interference in a match. Hey, there was a belt. We've got to go look at something. And she's like, sorry, what do you mean? And they're like, no, really. So Bandido's mum walks Aubrey over and she pulls the baseball bat out like, oh, look at this.
From behind the stairs.
Goes and tells old mate Justin Roberts, who's my second most favoured person in AEW, to restart the match. Bandido hits his finishing move. 1, 2, 3, he's the new Ring of Honor champion.
Fucking why? What?
How many times have heels cheated in a match? And the entire Justin Roberts, as the ring announcer, would be sitting ringside watching it happen and be like, oh, it's fine. It's just what happens. I'm not going to say anything. The commentators, so what you're telling me now, AEW, is that at any point that there's any interference or outside interference or cheating from the heels, the commentator can be like, hey, referee, they cheated. Start the match again. Are they going to do it?
Dumb.
Are they going to do it on every match now?
Well, they have to. They've set a standard. They have to.
Because this was stupid. For the way that you let your heel cheat to win, you get the obviously poor crowd reaction because nobody wanted Jericho to win this. But he got the heel reaction, and then you just go and change it around because Bandido's mum was at ringside.
I don't know, just like who cleared this shit
This is horrible.
to be approved
story,
for a pay-per-view. They done some dumb shit like this on a weekly TV show? Sure.
Yeah, put it on Collision so I don't have to watch it.
One of your marquee pay-per-views of the year for AEW, and you want to put that shit on it? It's just, I don't understand it. And I said to Dan, I was like, I guarantee that was Jericho's idea.
It's a terrible idea.
He's losing it.
It is an absolutely terrible idea to have anybody from the crowd. I now expect Brock Lesnar guy, right? When you go to WrestleMania 41, if there's any interference,
You call them out.
you go and you grab a referee and you say, hey, fix that, because you're allowed to. Because Bandido's mum did it. Mama Rhodes. She's not going to take no shit from John Cena.
No.
Imagine John Cena and The Rock do something at WrestleMania. No.
Mama Rhodes
Mama
comes
Rhodes gets
storming
involved.
in. Just, oh.
It was just it was a shit match with a shit stipulation that shouldn't have been on an AEW pay-per-view to start with Chris Jericho that we all want to see him drop the title. No one gives a shit about it anymore. Ruined by an absolutely horrible storytelling decision outside of the match. Like, that is a absolute clusterfuck of everything wrong with why AEW books things and why, we've said so many times that it feels like they don't have a proper writer's room where they actually talk through things. Because if Tony Khan ticked that off as a great idea, mate, I've got nothing else. That was just horrible, horrible story.
Yeah, absolutely agree. Next match on the card, the TNT Championship, Danny Garcia versus Adam Cole. And I think leading into the pay-per-view, this was a match that neither of us were really fussed about. So
Because they've both been mid.
Mid, yes, and they're fighting over a mid-card title. So I'm not going to lie, I kind of lost a little bit of interest during this match, but having Adam Cole win made me a little happier.
I watched their match on Dynamite the other week where they had the time limit draw. So look, both guys are good wrestlers, right? They are not peak male athletic ability, physiques that some of the other people in AEW are. I'm glad to see that Adam Cole's spray tan has sort of tapered off a little bit. He's a bit, less jaundiced these days. But they are both really good wrestlers. And they know what to do with their movesets. They worked well with each other. They had good sort of competing moves and stuff where they sort of kept the flow of the match going really well. I just don't care about Adam Cole since the whole Devil stuff, and then that kind of went nowhere. Yeah. And then the Undisputed Kingdom sucks. Like I said to you, when he came out with his music, and it's all about the boom, and the whole crowd.
Oh, we were both like, yeah, it's all about the boom.
He should be way more over in the ring than he is, because peak Adam Cole in NXT Black and Gold was phenomenal.
A time to be alive.
Peak Adam Cole when he started AEW was phenomenal. Yep. His feud with MJF, them building up to the main event at All In, like that was like you could not top what Adam Cole was getting in terms of reactions in the ring from the crowd. Now he's getting mid responses versus Danny Garcia in a mid-card title match.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. It really is. I really missed. I was thinking it while we were watching the match, and I was thinking, man, I really missed those Black and Gold, Undisputed Era.
Yeah. And Danny Garcia is better than this too. Like, it was so good when he finally got a title shot and a chance at the title, and then he got the title win. And
straight down afterwards.
He's just done nothing with it.
Can't swivel my hips like that.
Oh, mate, he's got moves.
He's got moves.
But yeah, it was fine. The right person won because I think we needed a bit of a shake-up. Yeah. But I don't see where Adam Cole goes with it.
No, and like that was the thing. That's exactly what happened with Danny Garcia. We're like, yeah. It's like he's got an opportunity to do something, and then they did nothing with him for months.
Yep.
Hopefully they don't do the same thing with Adam Cole. There was a little show of respect at the end of their match, though.
Yeah.
Raising of the hand by Daniel Garcia, so that was really nice to see.
Well, they did the friend thing, then the competing thing, then the friend thing, then the competing thing. Like, let's move on now, please.
Yeah, absolutely. Next match. I think the match that we were all super keen for, the International Championship 3-way match.
Yep.
With Kenny Omega, Ricochet, Speedball Mike Bailey.
And I'm very glad.
Loved it. Absolutely loved it.
These ones. Very glad that Ricochet is such a heel, because him being at home in Philly, because I know he's a big Philly Eagles fan, could have thrown some things off.
Yeah.
But no, they decided to chant that he was bald for the entire match.
I dare you to chant "you're bald" in the comments.
I mean, I'll do that. I'll do it.
Yeah, I know you will.
But just like it was like 4 or 5 different times that they started bald chants. And look, I get there was a point when they were all outside and Omega and then Bayley
was
started
slapping
slapping his head.
Like, that was
Cool,
funny.
that's the point where you chant it. Oh, he's bald. Ha, it's funny. What a good joke.
But like when he's on the ups in the match, like
You are bald.
Come
bald,
on, guys.
bald forever. Bald forever.
come on, guys, you're so immature. WWE would never, and you know why? Because some of their most prominent stars in the company's history have been bald.
I dare you to chant bald forever, Randy Orton.
I dare you to do it for Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Dare you
Rock.
to do it for Vince McMahon that one time when he got his head shaved because he lost to Donald Trump.
This match was everything I wanted it to be.
Yeah.
I don't think there was really a dull spot in this match. They paced this very well. It went for just over half an hour.
31 minutes.
31 minutes exactly. Entertained throughout the whole 31 minutes. Kenny Omega won with a one-winged angel off the top rope,
Yep.
which I thought was absolutely mental. Speedball got tied up in the Tree of Woe, and he was not able to attempt to disrupt that pinfall attempt. So
I think this was a incredibly good showcase to all 3 wrestlers.
yeah,
But I have to give the props for this match to Kenny to putting the other 2 guys over.
yeah,
Because the way he sold for Speedball's kicks and he's spitting whatever kick it is, and the way he sold for Ricochet with all of his flips and his 450s,
yeah.
brilliant. And that's what Kenny Omega should do, man. That is exactly what a legend of the industry and someone who's so experienced that he is does well. Is sell, tell the stories, and make it look good. And I'll have to give credit as well to Speedball Mike Bailey. The selling of his knees,
Constantly screaming.
constantly screaming in pain, always clutching his knee. Maybe wear shoes, champ. That might help you. When he did that
That was nuts. The shooting star knee drop
on the
apron.
which we've discussed is the hardest part of the ring.
Crazy to think about.
And he just went just knees first, just straight knees first, just bang and then off.
I don't think you could even like brace yourself
No,
for impact.
he couldn't. Absolutely not.
It's ridiculous.
It was a backflip landing on your knees.
One gripe we do have about this match is not the match itself, more so what happened afterwards. Kenny Omega is in the ring, and then
Forgot that this even happened.
the coin drop.
Ding!
And the rumors look to be eventuating. Kenny Omega and Okada went face to face for all of 5 seconds, and then Kenny Omega just walked out of the ring. You
So
you've
what-
been in the business. You both been in the business for what, like 15 plus years each.
20 years plus.
20 years plus. You should know you stand there, get the hard cam side, and just stare down and just let the crowd erupt. Maybe they were running short on time. I don't know.
It's an AEW pay-per-view.
Exactly.
Less than
But,
7
like,
hours,
why
they're
not
fine.
stand there, let the crowd soak it in and erupt instead of just like coming together for a few seconds and then it was all done.
Yeah. And Kenny, didn't even face the hard cam side.
No,
He had his back to it
he had
the
his
whole
back
time.
to the hard cam.
It was weird staging. I don't know whose fault that was that they were in the wrong position, but that was just staged wrong. I get that they want to do little teasers for us and obviously drag this match on for what we assume will be a title for title merging
Intercontinental
championship match, probably at All In, which will be great. And the match itself will be fantastic because anything that Okada and Omega do together is going to be brilliant. But give us more than this, man.
Come on.
It was not really. It was not it. We wanted a bit more, especially after that match. And I think Corey in our Discord was chatting out this match and how good it was. All 3 dudes looked so tired at the end,
Yeah.
especially
They were
Kenny.
just going hard the whole match.
They did not stop working.
No.
Go and watch it. If you can get someone that puts a YouTube clip out of like a 10-minute, highlights package of this match, go for that. Because although there wasn't any like dead spots, there was a lot of filling moves, a lot of filler
Yeah.
between big spots because it was quite a long match. But I think this leads probably to Kenny and Speedball in the next pay-per-view because
Yeah, that was my
he
thought.
has the thing saying, well, look, I wasn't pinned. I couldn't reach out. I was stuck in the tree of woe. Ricochet can go off and, I don't know, whatever.
Have a party with Andrew Tate.
Yeah, you're not a fan, hey?
Well, everyone keeps pointing out that he looks like Andrew Tate. So
I mean,
I'm
he
just running
really
with it.
does.
Just running with it.
That's
Let's talk about the main event now.
do we have to?
I mean, we don't. We could just cut it off. Mox
It
won.
probably would have been a better finish.
Mox won. He retained the title. And I said to Dan a couple of weeks back, I was like, what if Mox just wins? Everyone was so behind Swerve. And I was like, what if Mox just wins? And it happened. They started the match with mat wrestling, which I thought was really odd.
It was strange for this. And even like Taz and that on the commentary were like, this is not what we expected this match to start.
Yeah,
with.
exactly. And like, I think it got about halfway, maybe 2/3 into the match, and I thought this match should have had a stipulation to it because the way that they've been building up. What happened on Dynamite last week, where Swerve got powerbombed onto the pile of shattered glass, and just like standing up from that and just like laughing at Moxley and like all the shit that's happened in the lead up, like it could have benefited from having some sort of stipulation. So they could just go ham and have a hardcore match like they've been kind of doing in the lead up anyway.
Because if you have like the stipulation of it being like a hardcore match, you can have the guys wrestle around the outside, do spots with the stairs. You can have them get ladders out and then go through the Spanish announce table and all that sort of stuff because that's what you can do in a hardcore match. You don't do that in a one-on-one match.
But they did it anyway.
What?
They did it anyway. And no one called for a disqualification. And I get the AEW refs, they've got
Bit of discretion.
discretion. That's kind of like, you had Mox stomp Swerve onto the steel steps, which busted him open. And then he's biting at the blood because, of course they do, it's AEW. I will admit that Swerve stomp off the top of the ladder through the announce table to
Oh,
Mox.
it's huge. It was a great spot.
Amazing.
Absolutely brilliant.
Loved it.
But it just doesn't make any sense in the context of that match.
Just like, you
the fact
should
that
have
the
just
referee,
made it no DQ.
the referee was out there and like they're climbing up the ladder and Mox is dragging Swerve up rung by rung to get to the ladder. And the referee's like, hey guys, back inside. Get back in the ring. Back in the ring, guys. Back in the ring. Not like counting them out or actually doing anything. Like you can't do that. You can't. As much as AEW loves to say it's where the best wrestle, and I think if you were to put back-to-back ring to like bell to bell within the ropes, yes, it's where the best wrestle. They have some of the best talent in the world. They also have some of the worst storytelling in the world because this, again, doesn't make any sense. And let's get to the crust of it. Everyone runs out. There's a referee spot where he gets a bump. And then he
massive props to that ref for taking a steel chair just straight to the head.
Great spot. Referee's out.
Loved that.
And then we're like, okay, so here comes all the shenanigans. Marina Shafir's out there. She slides chairs
Bloodline
around.
shit all over again, man.
Then the Death Riders come out, and then we're waiting for Willow to come and help, but she doesn't show up. But the Ops do. Samoa Joe on the pay-per-view. Love to see it.
Yeah.
They come in, they all brawl, and they all go backstage. And we're like, okay, so then what's the now spot to set up the finish? Swerve gets on top a little bit. He's about to win.
You forgot about Mox accidentally giving Marina a cutter.
Oh, I did that. That was
great.
Funny. Yeah.
That was great.
That was great. And then the lights go out. And everyone's like, ooh, what is it?
What is it?
And so we instantly start throwing names.
Oh,
You're like, it's Darby. And I thought
he's back from Mount Everest.
I thought it was going to be Danielson to finally get his revenge on Moxley. And it's not. The lights come back on.
That's just the Young Bucks?
The Young Bucks about to do the
EVP trigger
on Swerve.
on Swerve.
And
Swerve.
They hit Swerve. And then Moxley crawls over. And
1, 2, 3.
2, 3. That's it.
That's it. Done.
What the fuck was that?
And I think some people think this is AEW's WrestleMania. Like,
The only comparison between this and WrestleMania is the fact that they're both in April. Because otherwise,
that's it.
the Young Bucks have been off TV for so long, right? And they remembered there was the last thing they saw, they were shredding all their paperwork and stuff because they were fleeing the country because of what the Death Riders were doing, okay?
Because they hired the Death Riders, maybe? I've seen that theory thrown out
So
already.
they've hired Moxley.
Yes, they've hired Moxley to take down their own company.
Because actually Hangman came out. There was a point. I forgot about it. Hangman came out. He was going to buckshot Larry at one of the two. And then
Yes, he was eyeing off Swerve, but then he like looked at Moxley and he was like,
yeah, I should probably do Moxley.
Another thing I saw on social media, someone put a picture of Swerve and Hangman facing off and then had the Young Bucks there. And then they're like, incoming tag team match?
Hangman
with
and
Swerve and Hangman teaming.
No, don't do that.
But you watch AEW do it because they don't know how to book stories properly.
No, don't do that. You stuck a syringe in his mouth and drank his blood. You burnt his fucking house
Did you see
down.
what happened on? He deserved it.
I know he said he deserved it, but
that he deserved it.
But you can't then tag.
They're trying to mend the
tag,
bridges.
Tag. All right, let's go. You and me. You burnt my house down. I cut a promo on your child. You burnt my house down. We drank each other's blood and tried to kill each other in a cage. But you know what? Those young bucks need me in the head once. Let's tag.
Yeah.
Fucking stupid.
Oh
Look, I'm sorry, man. Like,
man, why do AEW have to do dumb shit like this?
if you wanted Ospreay to win the Owen and win it at All In and take it off Moxley at the biggest match, the biggest grandest stage that they have, sure, that's fine. How are you explaining to me that the lights go out and the Young Bucks help Moxley and the Death Riders retain the title when they were the ones at the start against it? You also had the perfect opportunity, because the Young Bucks were shitty heels before, for them to be off TV for long enough that when they come back as faces, because you just turned FTR fucking heel on this show, so you've got no good tag team baby faces, but you're going to bring the Young Bucks back as heels again for no reason. You have to have some stupid convoluted story for them to explain why they're doing it and why they're doing it against Swerve. I don't understand the booking. You can do as many omoplatas and bloody tope suicidas and as many, Panama Sunrises and Spanish flies off the top of cages as you want, but if none of your storytelling makes sense, your entire show is a fucking shambles. And I can't with AEW, man. I don't get it. I got
nothing to add to that. I think that encapsulates the feelings about this ending to the pay-per-view and the several matches on the pay-per-view in a pretty good way. With that note, any final thoughts before we wrap it up? You good?
Good.
All right.
Done.
We're going to wrap it up. Look, it was a decent pay-per-view. A few very odd choices for finishes that we were not happy with, but...
Keep an eye on our next podcast where I turn on Reece for no reason whatsoever.
Then we bring Ted back to replace me, not Dan.
The lights will go out. And all of a sudden, Josh will be here. Whoa.
I've just grown a full beard. Thank you for tuning in. We have been Down Under the Mat. This has been Mr. Dan Danielson. I've been Reece.
Can we scissor it for one last time?
We will scissor it for one last time because they were technically on the card tonight. Scissor me, Danny!